Well, welcome along, welcome back. We seem to have one or two other problems in the commentary position at the moment, which is all down to the weather we've got, but we are back with you. We made a little bit of a scrambling run from where we were on the terraces up here to this commentary position. We're having a laugh here because there's a real tangle. There's a real tangle. But we got there. We're here in the end anyway. We're here in the end, and we can hear each other. Hopefully you can hear us. Looking forward to this game here today. This match between the Toronto Wolfpack, looking to bounce back from that defeat last week against the York City Knights, against the Workington side, aiming to show why they are in the top 8 and hoping to improve on their 8th place in which they start today. Here come the two sides. Craig Hall leading out the Wolfpack. The Wolf whistles coming from the Workington supporters, but Craig Hall with a look of meaning business on his face as he takes his side out there. Ryan Brierley as well. Brian Noble's cleaning a window and suddenly realises there's no glass in there, so he's cleaning fresh air. All the mock-ons. Well, there'll be a bit of a roar when Workington come out here, I should imagine. It's a decent little crowd here at the Zebra Claim Stadium, used to known as Derwent Park. It has been the scene of some real rugby league history down the years. Remember the first year of Super League when Workington Town were involved in that very first year, what, 20 years, just over 20 years ago. Scotland have had their base here for the last few years as well. And everyone will remember that game against New Zealand when they managed that historic draw. This is the way they're lining up Workington. Doran is the scrum half, so we'll start with Ritson at fullback, the three-quarter line of Hambley, Rasool, Moore and Lister, Howarth and Doran are the halves. And as far as the forwards are concerned, we can see Kerwin, Phillips and Scully, Davis, Phillips and Mortling. And on the bench for Workington, Fitzsimmons, Shelford, Kyle Shelford, Alex Sostak and Joe Pryor. Sostak, of course, formerly of the Sheffield Eagles. Brierley is the scrum half, Wallace the standoff for Toronto, Tugagai is the fullback, Pownall, Worthington Hall and Kay the three-quarters. And up front, Moy Moy, Bezic and Emmett. Behind those, Whiting, Laithwaite and Bussey. And on the bench for Toronto today, Rhys Jacks, Adam Sidlow, Dan Fleming and Steve Crossley. Mr. Roberts is our referee today. He's about to get us underway. I have to say, Whitehaven look very bright at the start of this game, don't they, with their white shirts with the hint of azure blue. This is the only azure blue available to sight in this part of Cumbria at the moment because the skies are leaden grey. We get us underway and Toronto have first touch of the ball, looking to settle themselves into this game, Brian Noble.
Well, it predominantly becomes a running game in these kind of conditions, but the Wolfpack won't change the way that they play. They'll be a little bit more secure with the ball if they can, but early on they'll be looking to set a platform running the ball, I'm sure of that.
So in by Fui Moy Moy, up to that 40-metre mark. He's been well matched though by Scully, and the kick downfield, which just tickles that touchline, but cross goes T. Ritson, takes it cleanly. He's an exciting runner, is T. Ritson. He's had injury problems this year, but he scores his tries. He does get in amongst the try scoring, so he'll be a man that Toronto will be watching closely, making sure they don't give too much space to.
Yeah, he's real quick, Dave. I've watched him a couple of times this season, and more often than not, he's the icing on the cake. When working to make or break, he's always on the end of things.
Ball going to be played here by Brett Phillips, one of those two brothers in this Workington side. Callum Phillips is the man here who moves in at dummy half, little dummy, and then lays it off. The thudding tackles coming in.
Good shot from Whiting.
Phillips is up there at dummy half again. It's Jamie Doran, the chunky little scrum half with the kick, called on the half volley by Lola Tagagai. A hint of a knock on, but I think it was a clean take.
Yeah, it was a great take.
He's okay.
Dipped real quick, didn't it, the ball?
It's a very strong Wigan influence in this Workington side as well, isn't it? Jamie Doran, who we saw there kicking, he's ex-Wigan, Whitehaven born, but ex-Wigan down the line. Bezic stands and waits. Emmett gets up from dummy half. Taken in by Wallace, the flat pass away to Laithwaite, who's going to be held up, but 25 metres out. Bezic goes again. He's matched in there.
Well handled.
Stuart Howarth, wasn't it?
Howarth caught. They'll know each other, Howarth and Bezic.
Here comes the last. Wallace with a kick, just looking for touch, and T. Ritson just watches it out of play, and the head and feed will go to Workington 10 metres from their own line.
Well, that's an indication of the mentality of the Wolfpack. A couple of last players there, they've actually got to last players, and anybody that watched the game last week would see that they were making things up as you went along, and so quite clearly there's some process towards what they're doing now.
Well, they'll take their time here. Well, the ball is fed by Stuart Howarth. He's been around a bit, hasn't he, Stuart Howarth? You coached him twice, is that right? Wigan and Salford. And
yep.
He's been at Wakefield. He had a spell at St Helens, didn't he? Hull and Bradford. Signed this year for Workington.
He's a super footballer, Stuart. Been unlucky over the years with the odd injury at the wrong time when he was playing first grade football, and sometimes that can take you out of the mix.
Well, he's still got plenty to give. I think he's only 27, isn't he? So he's still got plenty to give in terms of the career to come. It's Maudling who gets himself off the floor. Here's Tom Kerwin. As we heard earlier from Dave Clark, getting a chance here because of injuries. Chance to prove himself, and this is not a bad start here. Macaulay Davis is one of those youngsters on loan from Wigan. The ball goes back, and Howarth puts the kick downfield. Pownall just carefully chasing after that, and collects and runs back. It's a decent chase by Workington. They're up there, a solid line. Good
chase from Workington. Great kick from Stuart Howarth. Split the fullback and the winger. Ball between the posts.
Here's Kay. Will dash and double by him. Bezic going left. Pownall's getting involved. Wingers doing a bit of the hard work. The conditions are almost gentle now compared to what they were earlier. The height of summer, what is it, August the 6th? There's a kick, and it's taken well by Ritson on the bobble, but he's surrounded, he's lost it, and the referee says a clean knock on.
Well, I think I mentioned it in the build-up. This is much about your kick chase attitude today. With these conditions, you go down there, can you force an error and create your own field position by your defensive activities? And that's a great example of it there.
Little pat on the head for T. Ritson. Played for Thailand against Malta, I think it was, last year. It's one of those unlikely rugby league internationals, more of which seem to be springing up all the time. Great work going on in Europe at the moment. More and more. I think it's 42 registered nations playing rugby league these days. It's everywhere. And it's growing, and Canada is leading that international drive with this side, the Toronto Wolfpack, and here they come with Craig Hall on this right hand side, top try scorer, top point scorer, top goal kicker, but dealt with by Workington at the moment. Bezic going left, Emmett will try to drive it in. Four Cumbrian defenders wrapping themselves around him. Here comes Bezic again, left. Briley with a pass that goes along the ground, and it's going to be picked up on that far side. It's Hamley, I think, who's got there, and Workington back in possession with some relief.
Well, the ball went to ground, and normally that caused a little bit of deflection in the defensive activities, but not the greatest of pass, and Workington cleaned up the spoils and get their chance to ruck the ball out their own end again.
It's Howarth going right and picking up the man Macaulay Davis over there. Here's Maudling, local lad. Hensingham as his amateur side. Handling loose good here as they try to create some space. Lister's got a bit of zip on this left-hand side, and he's just about kept in the field of play. Some footwork here from Duran, whose pass is not great. They need to be more alert here. It's Toronto who are, and offside against Workington has given the Wolfpack a penalty.
Well, it was the right call. I think Howarth with it in front of Davis on the ricocheting ball bouncing around there. That both teams there throwing the ball to ground. The last player there, Howarth, Duran couldn't quite organise it, and threw it to space, and the Wolfpack play on here with good field position.
So this is Bussey with a drive. 25, less than that, 15 yards away. The ball gone to ground. The referee has a look at his touch judge. He says it was a knock-on, and that's a big result for the Workington defence.
Oh, here it is. Yep, I think it's a loose carry. I think it's a good call from the touch judge.
Jamie Durand, by the way, the guy who's got the ball in his hand at the moment. We saw his footwork a while ago. He had trials, apparently, when he was younger with Liverpool and Newcastle United at football. But he decided to concentrate on rugby league. Who wants to be a millionaire anyway, eh? When you can play the game of your dreams. Here's T. Ritson. Well left. Maudling. Phillips out of dummy half. Cohen again will take it up to that 40-metre mark, not far away, so they're just pounding their way out of trouble here as Stevie Scully takes it in, a former Great Britain amateur international. They're edging their way. They want a big drive forward. I think the local fans are calling for offside against the Wolfpack, and the referee gives offside against the Wolfpack. He got plenty of vocal support from those on the terraces. The prompts were there, and eventually he gives a penalty.
Well, let's have a look. Do they get back? It's the last play. Wow, it's a big 10, is what I'd say to the referee.
It's a massive 10, isn't it?
That's a massive 10. He's pulled that from the line, and anyway. But the penalties against you, get on with the game, Wolfpack.
So here comes Phillips at dummy half, Callum Phillips. He goes left to Maudling, who drives it in. Brett Phillips was just to his left, but this is a first real test of the game for the Wolfpack, close to their own line. Referee says play on, out it goes to Duran. That's gone to ground. There's a big collision involving Fui Moi Moi down the middle that has left one of those Cumbrian players on his back. Is it Callum Phillips who's down? There's a little coming together as well. Callum Phillips, well, it's marginally late, but I think he was committed, wasn't he?
Yeah.
On the arms. It was arms rather than shoulder. Touch judge is on having a word. Fui will be declaring his innocence in all of that. He's okay. Callum Phillips. Yellow card. He's sending Fui Moi Moi to the sin bin. Moi Moi is unimpressed and indeed perplexed with that decision, but 9 minutes played and the Wolfpack are down to 12 men. What do you reckon?
Well, it was a little bit late, is all I can say, and he's in a prone position, but is it a sin bin? Not for me. But again, get on with it. Down to 12 men now, the Wolfpack. And Workington with the field position.
So Phillips, the man who went over, is the man who moves in at dummy half, and Workington with an excellent chance here. Howarth done his runs into trouble, going nowhere in the end. So here comes Callum Phillips again. They're stacked to his left. It's with Duran, the pivot, back inside to Ritson, the finisher.
That's a penalty.
Ran behind Howarth. Taken in by Callum Phillips again. It goes to ground, and the referee says in amongst all of that there was a knock-on. So all that excitement from the locals comes to naught.
Well, I think we're going to have to get used to that a little bit. The conditions are clearly difficult, wet conditions. Unless you get the ball early before the line, it's going to be hard to secure it. And then we see yet another drop ball.
So head and feed for Toronto. A little shake of the head there. I think there was more questioning of that sin binning going on. In the meantime, Stuart Howarth, I think, is down and needs a bit of treatment, which is why we got the hold up. There you can see Howarth on his shin or his ankle.
It looks like his ankle, doesn't it?
He's going to be okay, is he? Just a little hobble back into position. Yep, thumbs up from the physio. He's going to be fine. And the game will carry on. 11 minutes played, 0-0. The Wolfpack have had their chance, but they have also been tested, and none of which has ended in a try for anyone. But here comes Hall. Craig Hall. On fire this year is Craig Hall. Was it 21 tries already?
And a few goals.
And plenty of goals. 344 points in total. Here's Bezic. A second attempt in the tackle from Callum Phillips. Can't do that. Penalty for the Wolfpack.
Can't do that. That's the expression, Dave. You can't do that. That's a penalty. Not in the rules. Tackled there. Goes in as a second. Yep. Won't get away with the third effort.
There's a bit of discussion going on here. Ryan Briley's having a chat with one or two of his teammates as to what comes next. Once the ball's put out of play, they will establish what move they're going to put on here in the next set of 6. Bezic with the tap. Briley immediately getting it away. Here's a settler from Emmett and takes it in, and it's a good position that the Wolfpack find themselves in here at the moment. Bussy with a step. 4 of them piling on top of him. He's not going too far further forward than he is at the moment. Bezic again now. Here's Emmett. Emmett with a left foot step. Tries to urge and surge between a sandwich of defenders. And it's another penalty for the Wolfpack. Again, after the tackle was complete, more going on from Scully and Maudling.
You have to say that's probably justifiable penalty. Jake Emmett wins the right, finds his front there. They're trying to get round the front and stop him playing the ball and bat it out, so penalty.
Well, they ain't going for 2. Or are they? They are going for 2. Well, what about that for a decision? And it's almost a derisive cheer from the Workington supporters, who feel that this is a small victory for their side. There's a lot of respect being shown to their side's defence, the fact that Toronto are going to post a couple of points here rather than go for the try and the goal.
Well, it might be just about knocking another minute and a half, 2 minutes off the clock in relation to the sin bin of Moy getting back up to a full complement.
So Craig Hall with a chance to add to that impressive tally. It's a worry here for Howard, because it's the second time he's needed treatment.
He's definitely wearing that on his left leg, isn't he? That injury, it's causing him a bit of concern here.
So Craig Hall will just settle himself. It should be meat and drink. Wings a little blustery, but not too much to put him off from that position. So the first points of the afternoon, and Toronto lead by 2 points to 0 with 13 minutes played. Paul Rowley, once of this parish, of course, as a player, looking on. Jamie Durant is taking his time here. Actually born in Whitehaven, Jamie Durant down the road. They don't like each other much, do they? Workingtonians and Whitehavenians, if that's the expression. I suspect it's not. But if you come from one town, you don't like the other. They call each other...
affectionately call each other the Jam Eaters.
Yeah.
You would have been easier saying that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And then you're never quite sure which is the Jam Eater. But they're all Jam Eaters if you live up here. But it's kind of almost a... Not quite a term of endearment about the other town, but they call each other Jam Eaters, so... I'm sure it has its traditions born in the mining industry somewhere down the line. Here comes QLT. Interesting day for him, up against Alex Shostak, of course. When he comes on, they were Sheffield teammates back in the day. Little dummy down, dummy up, blindside by Bezic. It's taken on by Worthington, who keeps it alive. Here comes Laithwaite, just testing the resolve of that town defence. 5 gone. Here comes the last play. Briley down that blind side, kicking for touch more than anything. Puts it out, and it will give Workington head and feet, but only 10 from their own line.
Again, a bit of management, knocking a bit of time off the clock. Perhaps might have been better keeping that, just crawl a little pressure, keep it in field, let the winger try and field the ball out. But we're going to walk to the scrum, both teams now, and another minute off the clock, or they're close to a minute for Moy.
He's going to come back with some intent as well, isn't he? He's going to come back with a little attitude, isn't he?
I think he plays the game with a bit of attitude. I don't think he knows any different.
No, he is pawing at the ground, waiting to get back out there. Fooey. On-time New Zealand international, of course. Moy, his compatriots, suffered a draw here against all expectations against the Scots last year. Real Braveheart performance by Scotland in that Four Nations, one of the standout results in the Four Nations last autumn, giving them great heart ahead of the World Cup that kicks off. Gone to ground, penalty given though.
He's saying Whiting had the second nibble at the front rower. So he pulls him down. He's got the right to get up and play the ball. Hands all over him.
So here's a time restart. Workington start inside this Toronto half. Maudley down the middle. Into dummy half goes Phillips with a 7 on his back. Right to Howarth, still nursing that injury a little, you suspect. Some solid physical contact to make sure that Skol is going no much further. Here's Duran again, showing to a couple. T. Ritson is in from the fullback position. It's Phillips. And a step by Kerwin. Referee ordering the Wolfpack players back the full 10 metres. Phillips again, Duran, Howarth. The no-look pass has not gone necessarily where he wants it to, but a Toronto touch means that Scully can take this in on the free play. So the tackle count starts here. It's in by Kerwin. And the Wolfpack defending on their own line at the moment. Workington, right with Duran, a little dribble, kick into the in-goal area, and the conditions almost teeing it up there. It looked like a very high-risk kick, but when he saw that puddle, you could see exactly what he was doing.
He planned for the puddle. This is a puddle kick. He's known it's there in warm-up. They warmed up at the end of the field. Watch his ball stop dead pretty much, and QLT in the frame to boot the ball out to give them third repeat set now for this Workington team.
Well, just a week after that defeat against York, Workington are giving the Toronto Wolfpack another test here. 18 minutes played. Just a 2-0 lead at the moment for the Wolfpack. They'll be back to the full 13 before long. Moi back from the sin bin.
It's a fair kick, isn't it?
It's a terrific kick. He might have had a bit of wind assistance. Here's Ritson. Thailand international, very much from this part of the world in terms of his rugby league, a Cumbrian academy player. Well, that's gone to ground.
That's great pressure from Craig Hall, I think. It's Phillips, is it? The back rower. Brett Phillips has a look. You can see Hall coming out of his sideline, and I think it distracts him, and a little bit of pressure created after the 2 back-to-back sets for the Wolfpack. They've handled that with 12 men, and now they've got a bit of field position.
Well, he'll be well, he is a Scotland international. He'll be very much in contention for that World Cup, won't he? Both Phillips brothers, Brett Phillips and Callum Phillips. And that's a pass that just held on the wind there. Worthington had to lunge to take it safely. Bezic. Here's Emmett. Twist and a turn.
Emmett's putting a shift in, isn't he?
It's Bezic again. Now Bussey. Step angles him back inside towards the centre of the field. Bezic stands and waits, operating out of dummy half. Brierley back, and Emmett's in there again with a second carry. There's still a couple of plays to go here. It's out to Wallace. Wallace left. Worthington has to step back inside. He's reeled away from 3 defenders. This is wonderful from Worthington so far, but he's going to be stopped. 5 gone. Here comes the last. Bezic out. It goes to Wallace, who's close.
I think he scored.
He's got there. Blake Wallace is over the line just as Fui is back on the field. Toronto extend their lead with a wonderful Wallace effort. It's 6-0.
Well, this is a terrific play initially from Worthington, who ground his way after 4 or 5 bumps and bounces and spins, and here he is. Here's the carry. Left-hand fend, spin, bounce, keep going. Get up and play the ball, Greg, and he does get up and play the ball, and then it's Bob Bezic out the back, and Blake Wallace just backs himself and gets to the line. Straight north to south rugby league. These conditions calling for it, down to 12 men, managing the clock, all the things you want this Toronto team to do. If you're a Toronto fan, if you're a Workington fan, you want them to drop the ball, I suppose.
So this is a familiar sight, isn't it? Again, Craig Hall with a conversion attempt. How many points is he on now? Just to remind ourselves, 346 at the moment, so he should pass that 350 mark today. You would think he's on 348 now, so 2 out of 2 for him. And 8 points to nil, Toronto lead.
Yeah. Structured, straight up, north to south play, playing the ball quickly, and he was just too close to the line, and the Workington defenders couldn't get off their line quick enough. Moi back into the action, Dave.
full 13 back on the field. There's a restart which will hold in the wind, so it needs some claiming from QLT, who's got a good pass away to Johnny Pownall. It's almost balmy conditions now, isn't it, compared to a little earlier? Emmett now will drive it in.
It was balmy conditions earlier.
Yeah, balmy with an R, balmy with an L right now.
Yeah.
Wind at the back of the Wolfpack. Moi Moi. Wind at the sails of Fui Fui. 5 inside the Workington half. Bezic goes left. Here's Wallace, the try scorer. Laithwaite's juggling. He's not up to standard on that occasion. Difficult pass to take. And the penalty goes. I think there was a push off the ball here, which is why the penalty's been given. There you see. Bussy.
Was a penalty. The bloke didn't have the ball.
Scully kicks a goal as well, does Stevie Scully. Here's Maudling. Phillips bends his back and looks to bring it left. Connor Fitzsimmons is on the field, and so is Jake Moore. He's dropped it.
Well, it's a bit of pressure from the Wolfpack line there. Both Briley and Hall decide to get into and try and negate the fact that Workington had an extra number. So the quality of your skill from Workington and the pass has to be first class, and unfortunately on that occasion, because of the pressure, they spilled the ball.
Connor Fitzsimmons is another of those youngsters that we'll be keeping our eye on. He's on a season-long loan from Castleford. He's Connor Fitzsimmons. He did actually play in the Super League a couple of times last year for Cass. He's another who's ex-Cumbrian Academy. The Cumbrian Academy has been producing a few of late since its inception 2 or 3, 4, 5 years ago. And quite a few Super League clubs have been up here to pick off some of the best. Here's Moi Moi. They're enjoying the locals the fact that he was stopped in his tracks. Bezic to Emmett. Emmett with a little dummy to Bussy. Takes it on himself. Emmett to Bezic. Briley to Wallace. Wallace with a double pump pass. It's Worthington. 15 away. 16 minutes played so far. Moi Moi. There's Briley. A little dummy shown by Wallace again. And on the 6th tackle, he's just short of the line, the handover.
Well, it's not a bad play. There's a few Workington players on their haunches there. You know, the energy levels are going down because of the running game of the Wolfpack, and now they've got to rook the ball off their own line.
Hard work required. Hambley, the winger, getting involved in those early stages. Macaulay Davis is another who has had Super League experience, played against Wakefield last year. Callum Phillips. Maudling. Callum Phillips again. Taken in by brother Brett. Big brother Brett, who's striding towards halfway on the 5th, so on the 6th. It's left for the boot of Duran, and the fingertips of QLT not as sharp as they should have been, and it has given Workington a lift because they get head and feed midway inside their opponent's half.
Well, let's try to take the wind out of the equation there and put the grubber through, and on the half volley we saw him take one really, really cleanly earlier on and just makes a mess of that one.
So again, it's a chance for a breather for everyone. Heavy underfoot, it's taking its toll. Gordon Maudling just getting a bit of running repairs. He's going to be okay. I'm told to go and stand out there in the old-fashioned standoffs position. So it might be an early run from him. Howarth is the pivot who receives it now. Goes behind Maudling. Here's Ritson. A spring in his step as he takes it in. Howarth A dummy half again, and now Maudling hurling himself at that Toronto line.
Put his hands up, hasn't he, Maudling?
Phillips, here's Duran, and Brett Phillips held up by a couple. He's just has his leg lifted by Whiting to put him to ground. It's Fitzsimmons, fresh from the bench. Callum Phillips at dummy half. 5 away. Back to Howarth. Howarth right to Ritson. Ritson with a wonderful weaving, stepping run, but he's held up still 5 out. Last play to go. Howarth again dribbles it in behind. Whiting goes down, and knew not only did he have to take it, but also stay in the field of play, and he's done both well.
Oh, that's his years of experience. He knew where the goal. There's Powell on a break nearly. And Whiting deserves all the plaudits there. Knew where his try line was and had to keep the ball in field. So not only cleaned the kick play up, but kept himself in the field of play as well.
It's Kay who's taken it on as well. So the two wingers have done a good job in clearing the lines here. And now the full back chimes in as well, with QLT almost up to the halfway line, or tackle 4. This is Pownall again. They're doing all the work. The forwards have had to do a lot of work in defence. The touch judge is on. I think this might be a Wolfpack penalty here.
Yeah. Maudlin had a little bit of a rag round the melon there. His tiny shoelace saying, "What, me? I wouldn't do anything like that." That's what we're seeing here. So it's a scruff, it's a scruff, it's a scruff, and an elbow on the back of the melon.
Yep.
And that's not allowed. You can't do that.
I was going to say, we'll use that phrase again. You can't do that.
Can't do that.
You can't do that. Penalty for the Wolfpack. Maudling argues, but he's sent away.
Yeah. Coach will need to tell him you can't do that.
I think he knows. So here's Briley to find touch, and the Wolfpack will start again with a set of 6, less than 30 away from their opponent's line. And the first drive in is Whiting, who runs with real intent. Bezic, the little general at dummy half again, goes out and puts it left, and now Sidlow, who's also on from the bench, is gathering up an extra few yards here. Bezic once more goes behind the back of Emmett, and Briley out to Wallace to QLT. The bounce, it was forward. It was a forward pass to Liam Kay. So Workington get away with it.
Well, they created the numbers there. Wallace went out the bat this time instead of his step and going at the line, and just couldn't quite turn his shoulders quickly enough. QLT, there's the catch and pass, and he was cramped and threw it forward. But credit has to go to Daniel Rasool.
Challenge there as it's brought forward. Lister, the winger. Phillips. Applause at the moment because Maudling has been interchanged. He's going off on the far side, so the Workington fans in that main stand opposite giving him a warm reception for his efforts in the early stages.
He's done well, hasn't he? Put his hands up on every occasion, often without any space, and ramped up like those big blocks have to do.
Cameron Phillips goes back to the middle. Duran, well, he's just on the 40-metre mark when he kicks, but that's all irrelevant because it's right down the throat of Quentin Lula-Tagaga. He gets a pass away, and Liam Kay is flying on this, and it's a question of pace between him and Ritson, and Kay's going on the outside. Ritson's done really well. We know how good Liam Kay is, so for the full-back to wind him in, that's a real star in his book. But here comes Briley. Toronto still asking questions. A second effort was that. Has to get up and play it. Bezic goes left. Here's Sidlow. Solid. But so too is the response. Bezic now goes, and he's over the line. Has he got it down? No, he hasn't. Held up over the line. They'll go back 10 and they'll play it again. But what about this break, Brian Noble?
Brilliant break from Liam Kay. Brilliant pass from QLT. Sees him on the fly. Here you go, QLT's looking for Liam Kay. Looking, finds him straight through, and then it's about the challenge between the fullback and the winger.
Whiting is held up on the line. 6 tackle. Bezic throws it left. Briley with a pass. Well, it's Laithwaite's footwork, but from a forward pass. And it's not quite connecting at that end of the field at the moment for Toronto.
No, a few misplays here, and maybe might have been advised to put it on the toe there. I think he got caught between. He's seen lots of people volunteering to hit a hole for him, and maybe the short kick might have been the better option.
Still 8-0 though, as far as the Wolfpack are concerned. Workington yet to get themselves off the mark. They've put in a decent shift so far, but not trouble the scorer at the other end. That's Kyle Shelford, by the way, who's also on from the interchange bench. His dad, rugby league followers will remember Adrian Shelford, who sadly passed away a few years ago, but what a player he was, Adrian. And Kyle building as well into that reputation, and that's a knock-on that has given Toronto head and feed and possession, all things being equal, back inside the town half.
A few boos around the crowd, but it was a knock-on. They saw the ball, they thought it had gone backwards, and it must have gone forward in the collision.
I reckon the touch judge are having a word. Oh, he's changed his mind. The referee says the first knock-on was from the Wolfpack, so he's changed his mind and he's given Workington head and feed here.
Well, I'd like to see that again.
Well, your wish is our command, Brian. Here you go.
So that's not the knock-on. So he picks it up. This is the knock-on because he loses the ball there. It's a loose carry. So where's there a knock? There's a knock-on from. Is he saying Briley reefed the ball and knocked it forward?
Touch judge is saying exactly that. Here's Phillips. Shostank's on the field. Alex Shostank, the biomedical scientist. He's a genetic technologist. There's not many of those in rugby league either. And he's a great guy, is Alex Shostank. Out of dummy half with Shelford. Different position to what his dad played, but
similar shape, hasn't he?
Yeah. Here's Howard.
A few inches taller. But
Duran with a pass. Phillips comes on at the angle, but the defence had it read. So there's one play to go in this set. Howard is in a dummy half. It's going to be a kick, one shape or another. Duran with a corkscrew kick back down the middle, and T. Ritson not far away from getting a toe end on that. Instead, it's QLT who comes up with possession.
Well, QLT was really brave there because he had the running feet of Ritson at him and had to clean the ball up, but that was his focus and that's what he managed to do. Smart kick from Duran, wasn't it?
Here's Pownall. Liam Kay measuring up at dummy half. You'd rather guess he's going to run from here. And he does. Carrying his side just inside their opponent's half. And now Worthington again. These outside backs are getting some work done. And on tackle 5, they find themselves 30 away. Bezic. Kick over the top into that in-goal area. Has he measured it? Oh, he has! He's measured it superbly.
He scored there.
There's a dive and a claim here that Wallace reckons he's got there, and the touch judge says he has. Well, there is a lesson. You never ever give up in attack or defence. Something might always be on.
Well played Bob Bezic as well. But Wallace deserves all the credit. We've seen it so many times over this last few weeks. Don't give up on the chase. Do not give up on the chase. And I think all the Workington team gave up on the chase. They were hoping that this is going dead. But the ball's there. It's there. It's there. It's there. It's there.
Oh, I tell you what.
Oh.
I think the winger might have judged that well. I think Joe Hambley might have judged that to perfection because... Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know?
There was a millimetre either way, wasn't there?
It would have been one of them jog forward, jog back, jog forward, jog back, jog forward, but back.
We'd had a video referee.
It would have been try on the screen and you couldn't have called it off, so it would have been a try.
We'd have been here all afternoon.
Jog it forward, jog it back.
Anyway, it has been given to Blake Wallace. And Craig Hall now has a chance to take his season's points tally to a nice round 350. Difficult kick here from that touchline, but we know how good he is. He's certainly given some oomph, but he's not got the angle he would have required, so it remains at 12 points to 0. But what about this? What about this for a moment?
Well, don't give up. Don't give up on the chase. Don't give up on the chase. Does the winger give up on the chase? Would you take the risk? Would you boot it out? Does he know who's behind him? Is he coming? Is it close? It's not out yet. In a tough one, we'd have to look a side on, jog it forward, jog it back, jog it forward, jog it back.
I reckon no try, but it's been given, so it's a try. It's a try. There's no in-goal touch judges at this level, is there? Here's Powell.
I'll tell you what, the outside backs are putting their hands up as well, aren't they, in this first half?
Moy. 3.5 minutes of the first half remaining. The Wolfpack have weathered a storm, both in terms of the meteorological conditions, but also what Workington have thrown at them as well at times. They haven't conceded, they've scored twice. Wallace the man, as Brierley puts it out of play. Just a nice, efficient end to the set to put Workington on their back foot again. They've got a lot of work to do to get it downfield.
I'd be tempted to try and keep that ball in play. Whilst it's a short kick and I like the corner, I'd be sorely tempted to keep the ball in play.
Yep. So here's Jamie Durant to feed the scrum. There's Lister, Phil Lister. Still playing at amateur level in March was Phil Lister. Signed for Workington then. Cumbrian representative as well. They said a Cumbrian international, but I think that's the way they'd see it in these parts, wouldn't they? It's like the nation of Cumbria. Here's Duran. Phillips out of dummy half. T. Ritson's getting involved here. Well, there's a bit of a mismatch between his body weight and that of Fui that came crashing in on him, but he's ridden it well.
He did ride it well.
There's a kick from Duran against the wind, to remind you. If you think these kicks are not going far, there's quite a gust that's coming the other way, so he did well to get it down there. Pownall is the man who takes it back to the 40. QLT picks up, goes left to Worthington, who offers a threat with his own pace, brushing away defenders. Inside for QLC. It is QLT who goes underneath the sticks. So Gargai the scorer, but again the architect Worthington. He's had some terrific moments in the match so far, and he's been try provider once again.
Well, it's QLT with a backfield link. He's got Worthington on the fly there, who just pins his lugs back and goes. Sees the hole, keeps going. Howarth can't get there. QLT supports his own pass on the inside. A fantastic try from the Wolfpack. Here we see this super ball from QLT. That's the element of keep playing, and Greg Worthington opens it up, gives him the big see you later with the handoff, and QLT on the inside to complete the score.
It's an eye-catching moment for the Wolfpack, and it is a score-enhancing moment as well. 16-0. The kick from Hall does nail his 350 for the season, and now it's 18 points to 0 for Toronto in the dying embers of this first half.
Well, that's the trust and belief they've got in each other. Three people on the outside there waiting to receive that play, but you've got to run as well, and Worthington does that brilliantly well. QLT follows up his own pass and inside and under the hedges.
Not sure if we're going to get a restart here, because the referee's not stopped the clock yet. The touch judges have now reached the corner flag, so the clock has now been stopped, but in fact that clock is not the official clock, is it? So might have a bit longer to play than that. Here comes Duran, puts it high in the air. Again, it's caught in the wind. They're gone short to try and get possession back. It might go their way. It has gone their way. The man who kicked it around is the man who comes up with possession. And Workington have a chance here. Set of 6 inside their opponent's half. A twist by Shelford. Moy comes in with a bump. Here's Fitzsimmons. Left to Shostak. It's Phillips. Howarth. Back to Duran. T. Ritson's quick hands. It's Danny Rasool. Young kid on loan from Warrington. So young kid, he's 21. And now a pick up on a dash and a dart here that has taken Macaulay Davis to less than 10 away. And I was going to say there's only one play left, but they're going to get a penalty, I think. The referee has given penalty for Workington. They're going to run this. Dan Fleming's getting a talking to.
I think the penalty for being aggressive there.
So the tap by Callum Phillips. And in by Fitzsimmons. Phillips again. Shostak to his left-hand side. He goes back though to Durand. Durand's pass. Moore on the stretch. Here's Lister. He's going to take a turn to try and get himself in the limelight there with a run out of dummy half. Back to Durand again. Durand dummies and into the barrel-like jest of Dan Fleming. But he's done well. He's picked himself up. He carries it on. Davis. Across goes Callum Phillips. Fitzsimmons is the carrier, and also a lovely little soft-handed pass as well. Shostak tries to poke his nose through. He's held up, and here comes Fitzsimmons. It's tackle 6, fellas. And maybe they miscounted because the big prop goes down with ball.
Well, I think they did. I think they're trying to barge. They saw Fleming on the backside, and recovered himself really, really quick to fill the hole that they thought they had there. But another defensive test passed by the Wolfpack.
So they've still to concede here as the hooter sounds in back play. Craig Hall will just put a big kick downfield. He knows that the wind's behind him and it might produce something, but it's taken by Ritson. Now, can T. Ritson produce something spectacular at the end of this half? Answer, no. The ball's gone to ground, but it's picked up by Ryan Brayley, and the Wolfpack might swoop here. It's a chance for Pownall, who's running away. They're falling over each other in back play, which has given Pownall the chance to run away and score the try. And ain't that a gift for the Wolfpack right at the end of this first half, which takes them out to a 22-0 lead.
Yeah, both sides throwing the dice, rolling the dice. This is Ritson, and it's knocked out, and Hall makes the tackle. Brierley picks it up. He's got Johnny Powell on the inside. There's still 3 shirts there trying to get to him, but he just shows a clean pair of heels.
Well, I think Callum Phillips there is claiming an obstruction by his own player, Jamie Durand, there, because he got in the way of him, didn't he?
He did. It was at the back of a big Hall kick, remember, on last play. You would expect him to take the tackle, but no, he walloped it down to give Ritson an running opportunity, and then Pownall reciprocates, take the ball back, and boom, 22-0.
Ain't that a heartbreaker right at the end of the half for the home team, who were already 3 scores back, but now with that Hall kick they find themselves 4 scores back at 24 points to 0. And a big Cumbrian mountain to climb for Workington, but pats on the back for a Wolfpack side who've done really well in that first half. And I think we're going to go down for some reaction at the end of that first half. Blake Wallace, a try scorer, 2 tries in the opening 40 minutes. And as his teammates disappear away, we, I think, can now go down and hear from Blake Wallace, who's speaking with Aaron Murphy.
Blake Wallace joins us now, and no signs of that lower body injury from a while ago, and 2 tries in that first half, 18-0 after 40 minutes. Must feel good after trailing 18-0 a week ago.
Yeah, it's good. You know, the conditions are pretty tough out there. We've got a game plan, so we've executed it well in the first half, but we're going to be going into a strong breeze in the second half here. Just got to keep it up and keep doing what's working for us.
It was an intense week of training. We talked to Paul Rowley earlier, and some of the big names stood up, so to speak, some of the veterans, Bob Bezic and Craig Hall. Talk about a little bit about that mood in camp this week.
Oh, it was good. It was a bit of a wake-up call for our attitude, and the boys really responded to it. So it's been a good week training, and we just want to keep it up here in the park.
Well, you talk about the conditions there. It was absolutely abysmal earlier, but it's dried off here a little bit. Talk about what you expect in the second half from Workington.
They'll keep coming. They're a tough side. They're pretty physical, so they'll keep coming at us, and we just got to keep aiming up around the middle there and minimise our mistakes.
Thanks for taking the time to join us. Good luck in the second half, Blake.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Back upstairs to you guys.
Cheers, Aaron. So he's a man who's on a hat-trick now, isn't he? Blake Wallace, 2 tries in that first half, and Toronto very much on course. They lead 24 points to 0 at half-time. So welcome back to sunny Workington. Half-time, Workington 0, Toronto Wolfpack 24. If you're just switching on now and looking at that scoreline, you probably think, well, that's been a very one-sided game. Certainly Toronto have taken their chances. But Brian Noble, I mean, Workington have given us something here today, haven't they?
Absolutely. They've managed to find some right parts of the field and looked relatively dangerous. What I would, the caveat I would ask or put to our viewers is that the Wolfpack have been terrific defensively. And it's going to take a special play, you know, maybe the puddle kick. There were a couple of Toronto fans there in the crowd with the Canadian flag as well, and so they've enjoyed their rainy trip up to Cumbria. But I think defensively their attitude's been first class, the Wolfpack, and then they've found some plays offensively. Wallace here taking on the line at the right time, and he was just too close to the line. Phillips couldn't manage to drag him in and drag him back, so he backs himself, and if you back yourself, more often than not, you've got to get to the line, and he does that.
And here's a second try. A lesson in chasing till the very last.
Well, is it or isn't it? The bottom line is the touch judge thought he was, and that's Wallace chasing and chasing and chasing till he can chase no more, and he gets his just rewards, you have to say, for effort from a smart kick from Bezic. The winger clearly thinks he's not too sure, the winger, is he? So Touchy comes round here and goes, oh, now he's sure that it shouldn't have been. But there you go.
Well, have a look at this. Have a look at this. We're going to slow it right down here. And the ball bouncing. I mean, it's all academic because a try's been given, but it's something to talk about, isn't it? And
well, it's still in there and it goes backwards. So if he touches his torso and you see the side angle, there's every right that you can justify it as a score. But you're the pessimist, aren't you?
No.
So if you're a referee, would you crossed your top and said no try?
I think, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks to me like a no try. Let's have a look at this one. Let's look at this one then, anyway.
Right.
Still in play. I mean, that one of those awkward bounces.
Still in play.
I mean,
still in play.
Oh.
What does he take it over? You'd need to see from the other side. And still in play there.
Yeah.
That's still in play.
Look at the right arm.
That's still in play.
Oh. Yeah, it's very close. Whichever way, it's very close. But he's given the try, so that's the bottom line.
Give the plaudit to Wallace, because he didn't give up, did he? He didn't give up on the chase, and it's a salutary lesson for all young players and young aspiring players watching. Never give up on the chase.
So that was 12-0, Hall kicking the goal, and this was, for me, this is the best try the game so far.
Absolutely. Greg Worthington backs himself, pins his lugs back, and QLT follows up on the inside there and finishes the play that he started really well at the line. And this is weeks of practice. It doesn't just come naturally. It's not something that just happens. The back five of the Wolfpack practice relentlessly trying to create opportunities for the rest of the team, and that one comes off. So 18-0, and it looked like it was staying that way. The hooter was sounding at this very moment here, so Craig Hall just leathered it down. That's just a habit play, isn't it? Habit. So he just leathers it, but gives Ritson, and fair play to Ritson, he's trying to create an opportunity right at the end of the half to get his team on the fly, and ricochet, Briley picks it up, he's got plenty of speed himself, so and Pownell does real well here because there are people all over him. He shows a clean pair of heels in essence, doesn't he? Gets away and sticks it under the edges. Here we go, Hall coming across with a tackle which forces the ball loose. Briley picks it up, chases on. The cop cars are after him, but they're not going to get him. He's going to get there. Yep. So that was right on the death. Hall kicked the goal, 24 points to 0, and I think we can hear now from the Wolfpack assistant coach, Simon Finnegan, who's speaking with Alman Aaron down there.
Thanks, guys. I mean, you know what, we talked a little bit last week in that setback in York. Fighters get back up, and 24-0 after the first 40 minutes. Obviously a good week of training, and the championship side dusts itself off, certainly on evidence in the first half.
Yeah, and I'll go back to a bit last week where I said it's only the first half of footy, so we've been good the first half. We've been pretty ruthless of how we've ended our sets and how we've defended after that, so it's been a good performance, but again, 40 minutes.
40 minutes in the books. Round 2 of the Super 8s. It's a long journey, the Super 8s. You forget that you've already played 15 games in the regular season. Talk a little bit about the mood in camp this week after that setback to York.
Annoyed is you wait all week for the game because, you know, you're disappointed with your own performance and how the game panned out. So the Sunday couldn't come quick enough. But annoyed. Everyone was annoyed all week. We had a pretty important, well, not crisis meeting, but a pretty honest meeting on Monday where everyone spoke and we're all on the same page of what we thought we didn't do well enough in the last game against York. So I think that's reflected in our first half. But again, it's 40 minutes, so we want a complete performance. We want to go away from here feeling better about ourselves and our standards, which we're halfway there.
You guys have such a great leadership group. Your captain, Craig Hall, you got guys like Bob Bezic. Talk about some of the guys that impressed you this week with their work ethic after a loss, because you can sometimes judge a player on how he reacts from a loss.
Yeah, well, they're like that every week, because I've said we've got a really honest group. You know, we've got a lot of leaders. We've got Craig's obviously our captain, but everyone within our group is really smart as well. They know what we do wrong, and they know when we're not quite on it, and they're honest enough with themselves to speak about it. And that's what that meeting was. Everyone had their say, and everyone was on the same page. But as an individual, they know when they're not quite on it. And a lot of people have spoke this week, but not the lack of the quietness of what was said and how we said it was important. And again, they've half done it, but I'd like to see us go again for another 40.
Well, thanks, Coach. The key to the second half to get this job across the line.
Absolutely, we want to. It's 40 minutes. We won't feel good about ourselves if we let it, take our foot off the gas and let them back in it now. We want to go away from here, complete 80-minute performance, and then have a nicer video tomorrow.
Thanks for taking the time to join us. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Thanks. Back upstairs to you guys.
Thank you, Aaron. And there's the Canada flag you can see there in the background, and Nobby's saying, they'll be enjoying their first trip up here to Workington. That's Rob and Kaz Mason, apparently. And they're Toronto Wolfpack's #1 UK supporters, they claim, and they're from Great Harwood in Lancashire, so that's not too far down the road. So they might have been to Workington before. But if it's the 1st or the 31st, they'll still be enjoying themselves today, if they are Toronto supporters, because Toronto leading here by 24 points to nil. A couple of significant and interesting scores elsewhere today, by the way, so far in League One. Barrow, of course, the closest rivals to Toronto in terms of the table, 6-6 at half-time against Doncaster, so there's a real battle. And York, who beat Toronto last week, are playing the team that Toronto play next week. That's Keighley, and that's 10-10 at half-time, so some good tight games going on.
Well, reinforces my belief that everybody's aiming up this time of year. The Super 8s is the time to play your best football. At
all levels, it's almost as if the game, the season has just switched on, isn't it? Super League, Championship, League One. Suddenly there are some really good performances coming in. That's a really good offload as well, which has given Hambley the chance to gather in a few extra yards. And Workington looking to start here with some real intent. Carl Shelford, latest man to take it in. He, like Macaulay Davis, also played in that Super League game against Wakefield last year for Wigan. So they've both, the two Wigan loanees, have both had a taste of the game at the highest level. Here's Brett Phillips. Callum Phillips is back at dummy half. Duran with a kick, again looking one way, kicking the other. It's clever stuff, but QLT has got time to shuffle across there and get in position. As far as the conditions are concerned, well, as you can probably make out, it's not raining at the moment, but the wind is still blowing, and it is in the faces of Toronto. Workington have the wind behind their backs in this second half.
Yep. And that'll be part of their tactics, to try and ramp up and play the ball quickly, Workington in clearing their own half, and then Duran and Howarth trying to pick off a sideline, maybe 40-20 kick with relation to this wind. And it's often a lot easier to carry the ball into the wind. I know that sounds crazy, but you get your passing and your adjustments right than it is with the wind. So the Wolfpack themselves will be looking to keep on top of their ball carrying game.
Here's Fleming making a bit of a dent in that defence, but it's tackle 5, so it'll be interesting to see what comes next. And Briley just goes along the ground, and that ball actually holds up, and T. Ritson's got some clearing to do here. He's very capable of doing that. Look at this. T. Ritson is off. QLT winds him in and puts him down, but a flash of excitement from the Thailand international.
Well, that was poor kick chase from the Wolfpack. They left a couple of, like a corrugated line instead of a straight line, and QLT had to round up like Ritson rounded him up in the first half. He had to round Ritson up because he was in the clear. Well done, QLT.
Well done, T. Ritson, as well, as Connor Fitzsimmons takes it inside that Wolfpack half. Here's Callum Phillips. Shostak to Duran, quick hands, good hands, and Ritson caught in possession by Briley. 6 tackle is the next. Duran again will put it high in the air. It goes very high. It's not got a lot of distance on it. Worthington lets it bounce, and it is Wallace who comes up with possession.
Well, with this wind, those kicks can do anything, and literally it did do anything. Both teams are letting the ball land and then picking up the pieces.
Howarth is smart out of dummy half there to stop Kane in his tracks, but some good hands again, although that's not an example of that. Here's Worthington. Worthington slips away from Hambley, and there's a bit of a struggle here for the team in possession to try and get some extra yards. Bezic, penalty, offside. Well, there's no doubting the enthusiasm of Workington, but just a little overprescribed on that occasion.
Yeah, the start of this second half was a little bit too vigorous. Were they offside? It's a Big Ten for starters, so yeah, they clearly jumped before the ball was played.
If there had been Usain Bolt last night, he wouldn't have made it to the finishing line, let alone finish third, because he would have been disqualified for off his blocks. Here's Bezic. Apologies if you recorded that race to watch it later. Spoiler alert. Here is Crossley, who's 5 away. Right underneath the sticks. Bezic's there at dummy half again. Back it comes left to Laithwaite, who would love to just twist around and put the ball down, but 4 keen, enthusiastic Workington defenders making sure that's not going to happen. It's back with Brierley again. Some footwork going on. QLT offers it off to Wallace, who's fancying a hat-trick, and Blake Wallace has claimed a hat-trick. Early stages of this second half, and Toronto with their 4th try, 5th try of the afternoon, and it's Wallace with his 3rd.
Well, it's just sheer presence and ball carrying ability. Sidlow comes out here, finds the offload, QLT just dumps it off, and everybody leaves him alone, and he just takes off with too much speed, pushes through the hole and finishes the play. So the Sidlow offload from Sidlow, QLT gives it to him, steps on the inside of Howarth, and the inside defender can't make the play open. Hat-trick for Wallace.
Workington fans are a little disgruntled at the moment. I think with their own size defending, maybe. Oh no, I think the referee is the man who's in their sides. I think we just got that from the last one. Oh, that's gone over. Oh, the touch judges have given that.
Restless downstairs. I think he missed. I actually did think it went over, and then looked to come out. I'm sure we can see that again and increase the controversy.
Here we go, have a look at this.
What do you think, in or out?
It's starting wide, it's starting wide.
Gone through.
Ooh, it's hard to judge. It is really hard to judge. And you have to say, as often in those situations, the best people on the field to judge are the touch judges. And independent of each other, they both raise their flags pretty quick.
It went through.
Well, of course it did. The touch judges put their flags up. And there's another 2 points going on the scoreboard, so it's gone through. Here comes Crossley. Crunching. Great, that sound of muscle and bone colliding, isn't it? As long as it's not your muscle and bone doing the colliding.
Good call.
Here's Bezic at dummy half. To his right-hand side, he's got Fleming. He'll be involved in the Welsh World Cup bid. Again, all things being equal. Brierley, who's putting his hand up for the Irish, I think, hasn't he? Oh, that's a knock-on. No, yep. Touch judge on the near side has given it. The referee unsighted. Touch judge near side, who just happens to be standing to the more vociferous part of the Workington crowd, says that was a knock-on, ref.
Sidlow tries to offload there, can't quite. Should be play on, it was not forward by. However, head and feed Workington, get on with the game.
33 and a bit minutes left to play. 30 points to 0. Toronto lead. They are putting their anticipated promotion bid back on track with this performance and this scoreline here today. Big crowd at York relished their defeat, but the locals in Cumbria are less than happy with the way their side are being beaten at the moment. Toronto are doing a job, and a good job. Callum Phillips stopped in his tracks. Duran goes left. It's Brett Phillips pushed towards that left-hand side.
Takes some moving, doesn't he, Brett Phillips? Big boy, and finds the ground and wins.
Here's a pick-up by Duran.
It doesn't exactly have a footballer's shape, does it, Brian?
Not a soccer player's shape.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Taken in by Fitzsimmons. Just a word of correction, by the way. I think I mentioned earlier that Briley put his hand up for the Irish. Of course, he's Scottish. He's already played for Scotland. So he'll be in that Scotland squad at the end of the year. 5 tackles gone. Here comes the last. Durant scoots it wide. Howarth has got time to get the kick high in the air. QLT's underneath it. The wind doesn't bother him. But it's a good chase. Can he find a dent in it? Can he make something happen? Worthington now. I don't think he's been tackled first man all day, has he? He seems to beat that first man every time.
Yeah, he's looked strong today, hasn't he, Greg Worthington, on his carrying. All the back 5 have, on their own admission in the heart-to-heart through the week, they put their hand up. The back 5s, they probably weren't at our best, but we see Kay here and Pownell who have been carrying the ball all day, and Worthington featuring, and Hall clearly when he's carried the ball.
Bezic rolled down. Still a couple of tackles to go in this set. In by Crossley. Bezic is there at dummy half again. He's got 4 to his right, including the Scottish international Briley, who puts that kick out of play. And again, it's just an efficient end to the set.
Well, it's an end to the set, and they weren't getting many of those last week, so a clear improvement, talking to each other, reducing their tanks, get stuck into this vigorous and enthusiastic Workington team.
There's Paul Rowley, Toronto coach. Dave Clark, of course, his opposite number. Took over from Phil Beavers at the end of last year. Did Dave Clark here with Workington to rebuild after that relegation. This is Howarth. Howarth again. There's applause on the far side of the field because Callum Phillips has been interchanged. It's an applause for his efforts, the way he's played so far. And Joe Pryor is on the field. Watch out for him. He's got the number 3 on his jersey, and he was actually signed from Wigan St Pat's in June. The community club, the amateur club, Wigan St Patrick's. They've produced some players down the years, haven't they?
Certainly have.
St Pat's has played at this level for Coventry before he signed here for Workington. Joe Pryor. Bussey left to Wallace. Wallace back to QLT, whose kick has got Kay interested, but it didn't quite come to him. It is somehow smuggled out of play.
Who's head and feet, is it?
It had been Hamley who got the last touch.
I thought he did.
Yep. Not too many complaints from those on the terraces either, so.
That's a super kick. And the winger, or the fullback, Hamley gets there and clearly has to poke the ball out of the sideline. Otherwise, Kay picks it up and he's in for a score.
Yep.
Smart kick, QLT.
Looking for some more adventure here today, QLT. Water carriers are on the field. We've got a stoppage in play because of the injury here.
Bust nose, is there? That's what they're saying, get off the field.
So here come the Wolfpack. Chance to shine again. Worthington, Kay! Denied moments ago, not denied now. A dive to the corner for the finish. And Liam Kay, the scorer, as the Wolfpack bandwagon rolls on again.
Well, a 2-2 and they're doing for pace. Worthington gets the ball from the base of the scrum, gets on the outside of Howarth, who can't get there, so the winger's worried he's not going to get there, and just too much space for Kay to dive over in the corner. Super finish, super play. Can't get there, Howarth. Worthington makes up the space and gives Kay a gimme. Has to finish it clearly, but smart play down the short side from the scrum.
Takes his try-scoring tally to 19 for the year as well, doesn't it? Johnny Pownell earlier with his try had actually levelled in terms of try scored this year in the league. 18 apiece they were, but Kay's now up to 19. And pushing hard on the heels of this man Craig Hall, who still tops the tree with 21. This is just about as tough as they come here. Kicking into a wind. Strong wind right from the touchline. But he's hit it well enough, but it just gets caught in the wind in the end. In fact, doesn't even make the distance. It got held up by that very big gust that was coming his way. And 34 points to 0, the Wolfpack now lead.
There you see the smart player. Bezic identifies it. Stuart Howarth just can't get quite across. He would have got to Worthington in the end, so Hambley should have held his nerve a little bit longer to deal with the K threat, but good try.
Well, the skies are leadening again here. I think we might be in for another downpour soon. There's the kick-off from Duran. It's caught well by Wallace, and Crossley will bring it back. And he's pushing the meters after contact there. He made about 10, didn't he, after the initial tackle?
Yeah, and that makes your defensive line go back even further. So taking the juice out of this Workington defence as they carry the ball. Sidlow again with his...
Another good effort. And then Bezic skipping away. What he lacks in power and size, he makes up for in intent and athleticism. It's Rhys Jacks who's on the field. Goes right. Just inside the Workington half. Bezic with a one-handed pickup. Here comes Sidlow again. Laithwaite dashed through, looking for an offload. Didn't come his way. Sidlow's battling hard. So that's the fifth. Here comes the last. Bezic now stands and waits. One play to go. Wallace again. Wallace with a kick along the ground. Hambley's with a job to do. This time he gets down solidly. And just the first job was getting the ball back for his side, and he's done that.
It's another smart kick. It's another pressure kick, which allows the Wolfpack defence the time to go forward on plays 1, 2 and 3, front load their energies defensively and make it a difficult job for this Workington team to rock the ball out of their own half.
Tackle comes in on Danny Rasool. Leicester's getting involved. Howarth with a kick. Well, it caught in the wind, and there was a danger of that being a 40-20 actually, but Liam Kay did well to catch it above his head. He's looking for the offload.
They would have spoken about.
They've lost it. He's looking for the offload. The ball's gone to ground. Our referee says knock on, fumble. So a gamble taken by Liam Kay, and simply not paying off.
Well, maybe should have just gone to ground here. He's outnumbered. 3 blue shirts in the end, comes to trying to get the offload.
So a bit of a lift for the morale of the home side. Joe Pride, the number 3, he's just packing down at loose forward. Doesn't half have a look at Rob Burrow, doesn't he? Similar stature, similar appearance. Here it comes, in it goes. Left. And in by Danny Rasool. Started at Salford professionally after coming through the crossfield ranks in the amateur game. That's a big hit.
That was a big hit.
That's put Scully on his backside. Stepping away goes Jamie Duran, keeps it alive. Here's Ritson, T. Ritson. We've seen him flashing in inspirational running style a little earlier, but no way through on that occasion. And solidly forward by Shelford. Pryor. New to the club, new to the setup here. Duran with the inside ball, Ritson. Oh, just got the arm free. Couldn't get the pass away. It's Rasool.
Smart little play from Workington, trying to expose the
Howarth with a kick
inside.
into the in-goal area. I think it's a bit too deep. It is. It'll be
big.
a tap back on the 20 and a 7-tackle play. Just taken quickly here by QLT. Waiting to his feet. Rain's beginning to pour now. Here's Kay.
Played well today, Kay.
Good step.
He's gone. He's half through. He's nearly gone.
Just managed to hold on there. Well done, Shostak, who managed to hold on. But here they come again. Another wave of Wolfpack attack led by Bezic. 12 out. Moving into dummy half is Crossley quickly. He could have taken his time because Bezik's slow up to his feet with the man on top of him. The ball comes back. QLT has a look. Inside it goes to Bussey. Jack Bussey now changes direction and he's still bustling on. And then the little flick pass from behind. It's Sidlow who straightens things up. Crawls an extra yard or two on his knees. Still a couple of tackles to go. Bezic comes left. And a dummy by Wallace. He's already got 3. Can't quite make his way through. Last tackle coming up. Bussey again with a pass out. Laithwaite's close. Laithwaite.
He must have got that
He's
down.
got it down. Somehow between those 2 defenders, James Laithwaite has got the wherewithal to put that ball down. And the Wolfpack are in again.
Well, it's not pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. The rain started pouring down, the wind's against them, you play running football, you support each other, can't quite find the offloads, and it's just sheer size and presence of the big number 12. Here he comes. I didn't get over, couldn't help Wallace get over, but I'm going to have a crack at this, and gets in between 2 bodies, just got to get the ball down, which is easier said than done when you've got so much attention on you. The referee in a good spot to adjudicate that he does get the ball down. Here we'll see, does he? Does he? Of course he does.
7th try of the afternoon, and all of them have a Wolfpack flavour. There's Hall's kick. Yep, he's been given it again. 6 out of 8, and that's the 40-point mark. 0 for Workington, 40 for Toronto. This is just the response required from their point of view after that defeat against York last week.
Well, you wouldn't describe it flash because the conditions today are not going to make a game like this flash, but you would have the element, if they keep going after this next 20 minutes, the element of doggedness and durability. And
Wallace has a look inside and finds that he has support from Crossley, who's able, tank-like, to take it another 5-10 yards downfield. Rain is really beginning to settle in again here. There's Bezic trying to make them out in amongst the raindrops, which are covering our commentary position windows. Bezic again. Rhys Jacks on to QLT. Bezic. Jacks looking to get busy here. Here's Sidlow. Last play to come. What do they do here? Put it out of play. Well, they're going that way, and well, a little kick through that Hall is chasing here, and Craig Hall, with the anticipation, gets there ahead of Ritson, and he claims his customary try for the afternoon. And they are ripping holes through this Workington defence now. Well,
I don't know if he meant this. I don't know if he meant for the sideline, but the kick chases on from Hall and from Kay, and it's a short kick. It's behind the line. Jacks threads the needle. Maybe wants the sideline, but the ball stops up, and Hall's been chasing with Richard Whiting on his inside. And great try.
And he's done it, and he made an easier job for himself here because he's got underneath the sticks as well, Craig Hall.
Got the bounds, you have to say, as well.
Yeah, that's what happens with a rugby ball. You can never be too sure which way it's going. And on that occasion, it was lucky for Craig Hall, and he's made 4 into 6 with a kick as well. His 7th success of the day. So he's up to 18 points and a personal tally. The average is about 20 points a game, so he's getting close to that average again here today. 46 points to 0. There's still 18 minutes left to play. Given the conditions, given the attitude of their opponents, this is going to go down as a very satisfactory afternoon for the Wolfpack.
Absolutely. I think Workington have aimed up here.
Crossley. See Bezic there just stalking into that dummy half position.
He's had a good game today again, Bob Bezic. That element of consistency here, and that's in the question, you know, the coach of who shows up, who rocks up. He maintains standards week in, week out, and you have to say that man Bezic does.
Well, he needs a customary try as well today, doesn't he, Bob Bezic? He's scored in every one of the last 4 matches for his side. It's Whiting who takes it on. Welcome to the English summer, August the 6th. This is the height of the ice cream season in this part of the world, and it's absolutely pouring down. Miserable. But not if you're a Wolfpack fan. Touch is found by Jacks. Bezic will take the tap. Hall will be the first man to lead the drive in here, and he's done well. What a platform that's been laid now. Bezic less than 8 away and 5 more tackles to come. Bezic puts it back, and Wallace with a dummy thinks he's got the wherewithal to thread his way to the line. Not on this occasion. Bezic again stands. QLT is there. Bezic tries himself, but there's a real attitude to Workington on that occasion not to concede from that position. Bussey from dummy half. Back to Jacks. To Gargai out. Whiting, man free on the right hand side. Pownall will fling himself at it, but the touch judge well placed on that far side says it's gone out of play, not touchdown. It's a tap back on the 20.
It's a bit too much on the juice here from Richard Whiting, and the ball clearly goes out.
So Duran. It's nasty out there again. Duran. Maudling. Great impact in the first half, Gordon Maudling.
He goes all right, doesn't he, Maudling? He's, as I say, the best thing you can say about him. He aims up, he takes his responsibilities really, really well and does a job.
There's Scully. Wants of Maryport, the community side. Out of dummy half, it's kicked. QLT will be fairly confident it's going down, and it is. It's a poor kick, really.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. It's any pressure that the Wolfpack had on them then, trying to defend a set, he's let the pressure out the valve. He's just kicked the ball dead, and they can walk back and have 7 tackles in the go as well next time. So, you're right, Dave, not the best of kicks.
But you'd have to say, mitigating circumstances, the howling wind behind him, so it's very hard to judge under those circumstances. Here's QLT, puts the foot down, off he goes. Now he's got support. How does he use it? Hall's there, and he gets a pass inside. Pownall. The collision, Lister got some kind of a touch on him. Pownall's hurt himself. Well, that's a strange one. We'll have a look at that again in a moment, but here comes Laithwaite. Laithwaite out to Kay. Kay cuts back on the inside. Might have been an obstruction there. Ran behind his own man. He's lost the ball, again trying to promote it, when the tackle was just about complete. And it will be Workington to get the ball back again. But what about Pownall here?
What about QLT's break? Gone. Back yourself, keep going, looking for support inside and out. Finds Craig Hall. Craig Hall didn't think he can get there. I don't know how that happened. He must have been, did he fling his hand up, Lister? Did he get some kind of ricochet on him? But he just kind of must have been a sniper in the stand. And then at this end of the field, Liam Kay trying to promote the ball again to get the ball out, and loose carry and drop. So they scrambled really hard there, Workington.
Still raining. It's a shock play. They're going for a kick on the very first play, but all that's resulted in is giving possession straight back to Toronto.
Yeah.
And in a very decent position from the Wolfpack's point of view. And that's lost. That's lost. I think we're going to see a lot of that now, aren't we? You mentioned it in the first half, but the way it is at the moment, we're going to see a lot of this in these late stages. Jake Moore on that far side. I wonder how Aaron's going on. You wouldn't want to be a pitchside reporter in days like today, would you? He's down there somewhere with his armbands on, keeping his head above water. Workington through Scully and keeping it alive. Ritson, thumping effort coming in on him, so his advancement is kept to a minimum thanks to Worthington's attentions. Taken in by Shostak. And here comes Scully. Duran, quick hands from Phillips, gone to Grand. Hall picks it up again, and he's away. He's away. T. Ritson tries to get there, slips in pursuit, and Craig Hall with another poacher's try picking up from that mistake, takes his side through to the half-century with 67 minutes play.
Well, that's on the back of the conditions. They're just trying to find an opportunity here, Workington, and so they're being expansive in difficult conditions. There's Durand trying to promote the ball, don't quite get it to the fringes. Little kick on by Craig Hall, and he's quick. And Ritson gets across, and he just steps inside him in these conditions, and poacher's try, as you've said.
Well, he's filling his boots, isn't he, in terms of points this afternoon. Again, Craig Hall's second try. 22 points to his name now, but he's needing a bit of oxygen back in his lungs before he settles himself down for this conversion attempt.
Right. Our viewers can see on the screen the awful conditions.
Well, we're not far from the Lake District here, and the reason it is the Lake District rather than the empty Valley District is because of the amount of water they get from the heavens. About 360 days a year. No,
it's not my fault it's raining.
Well, I'm just saying. Oh, slipped! And he's still got the goal! Oh! He went on his backside, but he still managed to put it over the sticks. Between the sticks and over the crossbar. 52-0. Toronto lead.
Just a shower up here.
Yeah, Johnny Jackson! Johnny Jackson!
So Duran will restart. The ball will land in no man's land, but it's Toronto who will look to claim it here. But there's a strange bounce, and they have to get out of trouble. And, well, full marks for effort, but in the end, the execution not quite as crisp and clean as they would have liked.
What's he given here? Because Pownall got out.
Older viewers, especially in England, will remember It's a Knockout from the 1970s and 80s, and I think it's going to be like an It's a Knockout type situation in the last few minutes here, isn't it?
I'm just trying to work out.
Forward pass he must have given.
Is that what he's given?
Unless he's decided he put a foot on the line, but he has given a dropout. Duran is there to take it. Just need a few people in penguin suits slipping over with buckets of water to add to the occasion here. Just under 10 minutes to go. Bang! Take that, Fooey Fooey, in full flight. There's no messing about as far as he's concerned. And they have the ball back. Here's Quentin Lawler, took our guy. Closed down.
He's played well today, hasn't he, QRT? He's been making breaks, been linking up in the backfield.
Davis came off second best there, but still gets involved. Gets involved from an offside position, I think.
Yeah, he's clearly offside. Unfortunately, working in there because Worthington was heading for the sidelines.
Here's Emmett. 40 yards away. 9 minutes plus stoppage time still to play, so lots of time in the game as Toronto look to reap yet more from this harvest of points they produced so far. Workington needing desperately to hang on here. It's Jacks. 15 out. Bezic stands and waits. Emmett with the reach. Back to Wallace. Now it's Worthington. Worthington with a left foot step, the twist and the turn, and almost through. They're hanging on him. Worthington's still going. And eventually, he is put down. Scully had to come in with a shoulder to make absolutely sure, and then a reaction from Worthington that has given the opposition a penalty. And a little bit of chat as well going on too.
Yeah. Played well today, Worthington, but penalty there was seen him pushing back. Doesn't need to get distracted here, Worthington. Get on with the game.
Stevie was a chant from the Workington fans in honour of Stevie Scully's involvement in all of that. Don't mind a bit of biff every now and again. It's Howarth. Seems to have recovered from that niggling injury he had in the first half, and then he's given a penalty here for obstruction.
Yeah, I can see that. It's gone behind him. Soft penalty if you're the Workington coach, but justifiable. Yeah, went round the back of him. You've got your signal, sir.
So Toronto set, poised again. Emmett to Wallace, to Jacks, to QLT. Here's Hall. He's on a hat-trick now as well. He's searching, he's looking, but they're closing him down. No way through. Cul-de-sac found, but what about the offload? So he'll try that, and QLT will bring it on again. Fui now, pushing forward. Always a handful, especially there. Held up short. Bezic with Emmett to his left. It's Emmett now who twists, and has he got it in? Yes, he has. Jake Emmett is a popular try scorer amongst his teammates. Just too big, too determined to handle at that range. And Toronto have another.
Is that his first try? I'm not sure it's not his first try of the year. I could be wrong about that. No, he's got another one, I'm sure he has. But it looks like he doesn't have to do the naked run. Is the reason why they're all ecstatic. He's got over the line there and got his torso and his hands on the ball for the score.
So who's more relieved that he's not going to do the naked run, his teammates or him?
Or population in general, I think.
Well, he's not going to have to do the naked run. For the uninitiated, if you don't score, if you play during the season and you don't score a try, at the end of the year you have to do a naked run. But we think he scored before anyway, but that absolutely makes sure that that torso of his is going to be covered. Emmett's try. Hall's goal. 9 from 11, and it is now 58 points to 0, the Toronto lead.
Yeah, and you have to say they're good value for them. They've been very direct today, very determined. A good response from last week's mix and match effort.
5.5 to go rather. Durand with a kick, which Whiting will take, and again, the problem with those short kickoffs is if it doesn't go your way, the opposition suddenly find themselves in much better field position than they might have done otherwise. It's back for Fleming. He was almost on halfway when he's stopped. There's Emmett. Bezic. Reached by Wallace, and Laithwaite takes it on, and Toronto moving forward again. Bezic to Gagai to Worthington. Gamble taken, pays off, picked up by Kay. Kay with a step but a bit of a slip, which made him an easier target for Durand to drag to the ground. Bezic collects again. Emmett's down the middle. Fui was coming at pace. He was used as a foil. Instead, it's Wallace who's bumping them all off and going in for his 4th of the afternoon. Blake Wallace is in. The procession continues. It's through the 60 mark now. 62 points to 0.
Well, put this down to Blake Wallace's running prowess. Here's the show and go. Meets one, beats two, keeps going. There's a bit of a boost from QLT on the way through to make sure he gets there. With great running skills. Step, show and go, dummy. Keep going, keep your legs pumping. These conditions, it's really hard to adjust as a defender.
Should be an easy kick here again for Craig Hall, right in front of the sticks. We're talking about him breaking the 350 points barrier today. He's put himself very close to the 400 points barrier today. 10 out of 12, 64 points to 0. 3.5 minutes still to go. Workington bedraggled. They would not have enjoyed the experience here today, especially the second half. 24-0 at half-time, but they conceded 40 in the second half. That's more than a point a minute. Well, we can get some news on the touchline side now from, I should imagine, a bedraggled Aaron.
Just had a word with Ryan. The knee there, he's not going to return to the game because with the scoreline at 64-0, looks like the win will be in hand. He'll save himself for Keithley, but Ryan Brierley out with a bit of a bump on the knee is okay. We'll be back next week.
Okay, thanks Aaron. And how wet is it down there, by the way?
It's yeah, I do have the water wings on like you said earlier.
Good.
Should have brought his surfboard, shouldn't he?
He should. He'd have been. When he lives in Dublin, so he knows what a wet day's like. Here's Bezic. Bezic with a dummy! And the tackle is from Maudling. His industry has been pretty good today. Taken on again by Fleming. 2 gone, 4 to go in terms of tackles in this set. Bezic's pickup goes left. Moy is not the man you want to see running at you at this stage of a game. But they've done well to keep him out. Bezic back to Jacks. To Wallace, the big pass to Kay from a standing start. He puts the little kick in, but dropped on by Hambly. He's tried to make things happen today, hasn't he, Liam Kay? It's never quite come off for him, apart from the try he scored.
Yeah, they've been very vigorous today, the Wolfpack. They'll be pleased with the 0 against their name in relation to defence.
And you have to think about the man of the match.
Yeah, lots and lots. How can you not give a man of the match to a bloke like Blake Wallace, who scores 4 tries in a game? I think it's been a team reflection. I think everybody's played their part this week and put right the wrongs of last week, if that's the right expression, shared out the workload in the middle. And the man that's done the most work is probably up there in the 50 tackle mark there, the screen.
Well, there's a testing kick, the ran. Wallace. Yep, is it?
So reinforcing in these conditions to do all the work that you have to do. The back 3 have been exciting as well again today. Kay, Pownell, QLT doing all the things. Here we see Kay again. He's been a glutton for work today, so he's unlucky to miss it. But Bob Bezic probably gets my nod. I think he's just been Mr. Dependable again.
So Bob Bezic, congratulations to him. There he is, man of the match. He seems to figure in that on the list quite frequently this year, doesn't he? And here's Quentin Lulla-Tagagai with a kick to the corner. Case chasing it, but all in vain because it's out of play. And we're getting towards stoppage time. Reminder that clock in the corner is not the game clock. We don't calculate stoppage time, but we're getting close here. 64 points to 0. Scully to his feet and plays it. Step back on the inside by Macaulay Davis. Learning curve for that young fella here today, as it will have been for this man, Danny Rasool. 5 inside the Toronto half. Howarth goes left, quick hands, interception, and Hall gets it away to Whiting, who's got players chasing after him. Hall was in an offside position, so he couldn't get the pass away, but Whiting's still going. Eventually stopped. Is there time for another Toronto try here? Bezic, Hall again, stepping, just pushing that defender away. Inside it goes for Fleming. Fleming heads forward with real determination again. Well, they close in and put him down. Still tackles in the bag, loads of them. Bezic, QLT, Hall lets it go. Pownell knocks it backwards.
That's a try.
And he's going to be given the try. Referee points the finger. Johnny Pownell with the score, just as the hooter sounds. He scored at the end of the first half. He scored at the end of the second. And Toronto leads 68-0.
Well, it clearly goes backwards, and they're trying to fight the fire, aren't they? They're working the defenders, get across there to cover it, but it's been a good all-round team effort from this Wolfpack team today. Everybody's rolled their sleeves up in relation to the disappointment of last week, and it's gone a long ways to putting that right.
Well, there's a potential of a 30 points haul here for Craig Hall, if he can put this ball between the sticks. But this is just about the most difficult kick of the day for him. 10 successes so far. Here he comes, Hall, again with the oomph. Has he got the direction? No, he hasn't. It slips wide. I don't think the disappointment will be too long lasting, because Toronto win by 68 points to 0. Brian Noble, what did you make of that?
Thoroughly efficient, attitude good. I think that was the major test of the Wolfpack. Workington aimed up for long periods of this game, so the scoreline probably reflects on how dominant physically the Wolfpack have been. And Yeah, in awful conditions at times as well, which is another test of the mentality. They've come here, they've got the job done, and they leave with the 2 points.